So good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to do unit number 2, topic number 2, that's called technical proposal. So how do we, what is a technical proposal? It is a offer or a service provided by one party to another to provide a product or service in exchange for money. Proposals are futuristic in nature. What you have at the present and how you can elevate that is what proposals intend to do. They are also a part of technical problem solving, or they are part of a project that you do which is more of practical nature. Whatever theories you have learned, trying to put it into practice is what proposals are. It also is a part where you wish to persuade or you wish to convince the person that once this task is planned and executed, it will add to the comfort of human existence. Right? So proposals are written so you can add a little more to human comfort. What is the purpose? Why do we write proposals? We write proposals to solve a problem, to alter a procedure. Some procedure is already in position and you want to alter it, to find answers to questions. You are engineers or you are would-be engineers. So with engineering, one thing which comes or it is tagged along when you tell somebody that you are studying engineering or you are going to become an engineer is problem solving ability. So finding the answer to various questions, offering advice and training, and conducting research on a topic which is of interest to both the parties, right? So research is what keeps life moving, right? Research is the result of our comfortable living today is research. One of the results or one of the reasons that we are uh, living comfortably is research, right? So proposals are written for that purpose. Now there are different kinds of proposals. So the two major kinds are sales proposal and research proposal. Now let's see, we'll first take up the research proposal. Research proposal is somewhat similar to the project work that you do in your final year of education. It is somewhat similar to what you do as a part of your final semester in engineering. So it is more academic in nature. Research proposal is more academic in nature, right? And it is solicited. By solicited, I mean that it is in response to somebody's statement which is already given. Solicited proposals are specifically for research development. Let me take an example of a hackathon. This event was a very well known event. Hackathon is a kind of a event which proposes to solve problems, cyber problems to be more specific. So it is more academic in nature, it is more research oriented. And solicited means the statement is there. You already have a problem with you and it is stated. Now, if you take the other type, which we are more interested in, is the sales proposal or the business proposal or the technical proposal. Now, a business proposal could be of two different types. A business proposal could be of two different types, solicited and unsolicited. Again, solicited means that the problem is given to you and you want to solve it. There is some problem that is occurring and you want to solve it. Now, what is unsolicited? Unsolicited means it's a new, fresh idea. There was no problem. As such, nobody stated that this is the problem. But it is an innovative idea that you have and you want to implement. Now, such unsolicited problems are actually submitted to government bodies. When you submit your proposal, the government gives you funding to do your research or to try out your new idea. That is what it is all about, right? So there are two types of proposals: sales proposal and research proposal. Now, within sales proposal, which means business or technical proposal, there are two types: solicited and unsolicited. Whereas if you take research proposal, it is more academic in nature and it is always solicited. The problem is always stated to you. What are the characteristics of a research proposal? See, whatever we write becomes very concrete. So we need to make the proposal look neat and clean. Neat and clean means you have to adhere to the structure which is given to you. More or less, the structure of proposals is fixed, but for few organizations, the proposals may differ. So, you have to follow the format of the proposal which is required by the organization for whom you are writing the proposal. You have to also keep in mind the customer's convenience, the financial gain and prestige. Moreover, research proposals or technical proposals are more creative than other forms of professional writing, and that is why you might have a touch of informality or personal approach in the style, right? Because there are more creative. Why creative? Because we do not talk about the problem, we talk about the solutions. Things which are not present might be a possible solution. That is why it is more creative in nature. Moreover, we should follow the requirement of or the need of the organization for which we are writing the proposal. Proposals are most of the time concerned with future projects, so you should design it in that way. You cannot design your proposal keeping in mind the present scenario. You need to do it keeping in mind the future. How will it work in the future? That's how you have to look at your proposal. So we have a reconnecting question. Is the statement true or false? Is it? It is. By it we mean technical proposal is more creative than other forms of professional writing. You can type your answer in the chat box. Excellent, Abhinav. Quick answer. Very good, Priyanka. Fine, Abhinav and Priyanka, both of your answers are correct. The statement is true. As I said, you are supposed to search for a possible solution when you are drafting a proposal. That's why it is more creative as compared to other forms of writing. So these are the different elements of structure. Please remember, we have to follow the structure. We cannot alter the chronology in the structure given over here to us. Why? Because these are the things which come one after the other. So you cannot first write the supplementary part, then the prefatory, then the body. Okay. So it's not too much. It is actually the order in which things are written. So don't worry if you see a huge list. Does not mean that this is too much. How many pages will we write? But this is the order, right? First this, then this, then this, that way. It's the order in which things should be written. Fine. So the first we'll look at the prefatory part. The prefatory part actually has the title of the proposal. First part in a proposal would be the title page or the title of the proposal. Then you will have the name of the person or the company to whom the proposal is submitted. Whom are you submitting this proposal to is what you are supposed to write here. Next, the name of the person submitting the proposal, and then the date. Date to make it more concrete and clear. So that is the title page of the proposal. Next, you have a letter of transmittal. It is like a cover letter. It is actually immediately after the title page, which includes a small brief introductory, a middle and a concluding paragraph. It is like a small summarization of your entire proposal. Very small, very light note over there. You cannot have big ones. Right? So that's the letter of transmittal. Next, a draft contract. You have to prepare a contract. And why it is a draft contract? Right now, the proposal, it is what you want to do in the future. So it does not become the final contract, but a rough contract of how things will work, how much money will be required in each term of the working. Will you be requiring other facilities like human resource? Will you be requiring equipments? There would be certain special equipments you require for your work to be done. So all these things you have to draft in your draft contract. Right now we'll call it a draft contract or a rough draft of the contract. Once the proposal is accepted, it is finalized. Once you accept the proposal, things get finalized, right? So that's the draft contract part. Then you have the table of content. Small proposals do not require a table of content, but when there are larger proposals or bigger ones, they will require a table of content. And you can see that a table of content would look similar to the index page of any book. Right? It is same like the index page of any book, be it your textbook, your reference book, or any storybook that you read. They will mention the chapters, right? That is how the table of content page would look like in a proposal. Next, the list of tables and figures. This is required when you have included certain tables and figures in your proposal and you want other people to find out the table immediately without pain. It's like, as I told you, in the title page of your, or sorry, in the index page of your reference book, you can see right there, right, this is the appendix part, this is the question, previous year question paper, etc. That's how this list of figures would also come into existence. Then you have an executive summary. Executive summary is actually a quick review of the entire proposal. It's actually like the Pressy writing we did in our school. You have to reduce the size of the passage by 1/3. So this is actually 1/3 of the entire proposal that you write. Just one paragraph, not more than 300 words, 100 to 300 words, which actually is a way of emphasizing the proposal strength, why the person should approve your proposal. This portion is actually there to create a positive impact on the people who read the proposal. Okay, so we have another reconnecting question. Dash is not a prefatory part of a proposal. Out of the options given, You can type your answer in the chat box. Dash is not a part, preparatory part. Excellent work, Abhinav. I've got an answer from him. Yes, Priyanka, you are also absolutely correct. So the answer is D. Correct, Meet. You have also given the correct answer. We have not yet talked about cost estimate. So it's not a part of the preparatory portion in a proposal. Now, the main body of the proposal, this is where you actually write what you are offering. Let's say problem, there is a problem in maintaining cyber security. How do we enhance cyber security? Right? So you state the problem. This is the problem clearly, and then you state the process that you are going to do to help with the problem coming to an end, or to help the problem become less. So you cannot solve a problem 100% in one go. What do you can aim at? You can aim at trying to solve the problem. So that's what you talk over here. You do a little background. Now how will somebody give me permission? I will tell, let's see, this university, let's say this college also has a similar kind of a problem that is arising. Right? So you can say there successfully it happened. Let me give you an example over here. Let's take the example because we are in an academic setup, right? So let's take an example of our college. Our college does have a language lab, right? So you might have visited in your previous semester the language laboratory. Right? So how do we enhance the language lab? Just see or just imagine that the college did not have a language lab. So you have to tell that language learning is a process where you need to be practicing what you are being taught in the class itself. So how do I practice? I need a space to practice. Where is this space? It's the language lab. Right? So you can tell that, see, University of California also has a language lab. And their language lab, after they installed the language lab in their university, the students had more exposure to practical work. So that is what I'm talking about when I say you have to write a little background. Right? You have to show how things work properly. Right? That's how you can work on it. Next, you have to state the purpose clearly. Right? So you have to form the statement in an infinitive form. Let's say I've given an example, to provide required training for newly employed graduates. Now, if I'm stating a proposal for setting a language lab, I can say to provide practice sessions to the students, to provide specific one-to-one session with the student and the teacher. Something like that you have to write in the purpose part of the proposal. Next, you have to write the scope and limitations. Now, by scope and limitations, we mean that every research proposal is not complete or cannot completely resolve a problem. There can be many things that come in the way, but they can resolve a problem to a greater extent. So what is this boundary till which your research proposal will help solve the problem, and which things will it not cover? Let's say there are certain restrictions. We have a language lab, we have the computer, but someday the electricity is not there. The other day, the program that is we are supposed to use the program that we are supposed to use crashes, the computer crashes, is not opening. So these are certain problems that we will face when we are doing research in this case, right? So what can we do over here? So we have to mention in our proposal that our proposal or the solution that we are providing is going to cover area 1, 2, 3, and 4. What is the limitation? It cannot cover area number 5 and 6, right? So that why do we mention the limitation? Because as I told, you are giving something in writing. You have to be very, very clear when you give something in writing. You cannot be unclear or ambiguous. Why? Okay, I have given a proposal. Let me state an example. I have given a proposal. It has been approved. I did my work. Now the company is telling me, see, you did this point, you did not cover. Then I how will I defend myself? Because they are going to make a payment to me. Now they will insist you complete this point. Certain things are not in our control. So very initially you could make it clear to the company that, see, you are requiring a solution for the problem. I got a solution, but there are 6 sub problems in your one big problem. So I can cover 5 out of 6. That's the maximum I can do. Problem number 6 might not be covered. I do not take the guarantee of covering it. So you are aware that you have told that problem 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 I will cover, 6 will not be covered. And the company which approves your proposal is also aware that you will be only able to cover problem number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 6, they might have to find somebody else. So before they approve your proposal, before they agree to pay something to you, they have an idea how much work will be done and how much work will remain pending, right? Because it is written, you and the company which is accepting your proposal can always go back to the proposal part and try and understand, okay, fine, it was clearly mentioned, there is no confusion in whatever so you are saying, and we approve of whatever you have told us, right? This is necessary so that we have clarity, because we will not be in touch with a particular company only for 1 day, 2 day, or one proposal, two proposal. If you see, let me give you an example. You must be having a family doctor or a family jeweler. Right? Whenever you have to buy jewelry, your mom will say, let's go, he is our family jeweler. Since your grandmother, we have been buying our gold ornaments from him or her. You don't change people frequently, right? Because it depends on the relationship that both of the parties have nurtured, that is you as well as the opposite party, that is the jeweler or the doctor, the trust that you have in each other. That is why it is extremely necessary. Yes, that is why it is extremely necessary to clarify things uh, at the very beginning when you are writing it, especially when we are writing it, right? Also, you have to mention, the company or the organization should not be in a confusion that you are the only one who's going to work. I cannot solve a problem all alone. I need a team of people. So you need to clearly mention the team that will be working on it. So there will be 4 people. I'm the team leader. This is my name and this is my qualification. There'll be one person who will be helping with the construction part. There'll be one person who will be helping with the setting up of the lab, that is purchasing the computers, lining the computers. Then there'll be one person who will be working on the software part, etc. That you have to mention in your proposal itself. There are different processes that you have to follow. The procedure, how will it work? You have to give a breakup of it. So first month we will construct the language laboratory room. Second month, what we will do is we'll be setting up, we'll be purchasing laptops, wires, cables, etc., and will be setting it up, internet facility, right? The breakup of how you will work for the proposal, and clear phases. Clear by I mean like the month of July 2020, by 31st July we'll be finishing the construction of the language lab. Now here it is always advisable to write a few days more. They are called your backup days. Let's say it's raining heavily, you cannot build it for 3-4 days, the season is bad, or maybe the material that you have ordered has yet not come. So always have a backup with you, so that what happens is you do not come under pressure of working in the proposal. You do that. Then the equipments and the facilities that you require, that also you have to mention. Why? Are you paying for it, or is the company paying for it? Whatever estimate you have given, is it with the materials or without the materials? And also you have to mention the manpower that you require over here. Now budget and cost estimate, you had already heard a word called cost estimate. You have to tell estimated costing of the entire project, because any company that would give you the funding for the project does not give it all at once. They would give it to you in the pieces that you mention in this area. So let's say for the first 2 months we will require 1 lakh rupees. After that 2 months gets over, we'll require 2 more lakhs, then 3 lakhs, and total 4 lakhs is what we require. This is how it is there. And you should also be justifying why you require. So 1 lakh rupees for concrete, cement, manpower, etc., etc. Whatever you are calculating, you have to have a calculation. So 60,000 for the concrete, 75,000 for this, etc. So it's a mandatory part of any proposal. In conclusion, you should complete the proposal with a conclusion where you re-emphasize and you try to convince that you are the one of the best persons to solve this problem. No new ideas should be there in the section of conclusion, and it should be very, very brief, 1 or 2 paragraphs at the maximum, not more than that. Okay, which is not an element of the body of proposal. We have a reconnecting question there. Dash is not an element of the body of proposal. You may type your answer in the chat box. Which one is not the part? Excellent, Priyanka. Excellent, Kush. Fine. The option that Kush and Priyanka have given is correct. And the option is D, or the fourth option, the letter of transmittal. Letter of transmittal, remember, it is exactly after the title page. And so it is a part of the prefatory part of proposal writing. So the supplementary parts, this is where you write the appendices and the references. Appendices, you remember the hard words or letters of support that you have. How do you prove that this university you did your work and it was excellently done? So a letter of recommendation and all that you attach over here. It is an optional element to write, but if you write, it adds value to your proposal. And the list of sources that you have used. Why do we require a list of source? You are not supposed to talk in the air. We are supposed to have a foundation to things that we do. Right? So the foundation part is listing a source. So when you list a source, it means that you've been told that, see, this happened. Let's say we take up any activity we take up in our day-to-day life, there is always a source or a resource that we have. Let's say the theory of black holes. Right? The theory of black hole, what is the foundation? The foundation is the theory of gravity. How you attract, how things pull, what is this magnetic belt, etc. Similarly, for your research, what is the foundation? You cannot have things hanging in the air. There'll always be a foundation with which you can talk. There will be a reference with which you will talk. Right? Let's say I'm talking about a proposal over here with you. What is the reference? The reference is a technical proposal. One. The second reference is it is a part of our syllabus. Two. Right? Three, it will be asked in the exam. So this is the reference with which I'm talking. Similarly, whatever proposal you have proposed, what is the reference for the same? So you have to cite your reference over here. So with this, we complete the portion called technical proposal. Do we have any question answers or do we have any queries? Do we have any queries? Class, this is a yes and no question. Do we have a query?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So now we can go to our quiz. Just give me a moment. I'll copy paste the quiz link for you. Do not rush to complete the quiz. Please read it properly. Read the answers properly, questions and options properly, and then you can work on it. So this is the quiz link. You can now start your quiz. can see 18 of us have already taken the test and submitted the quiz. Right, still a few are remaining. So we'll just wait 2 more minutes. So almost everyone has completed the test. The reason for asking for your email ID is I'll be sharing a Google folder with you. That is where you are supposed to put up your assignments. Whatever instructions I want to give, I'll be posting there. You are supposed to keep checking it every Saturday. You will have some instruction there which you need to follow. Right, in our sessions we are not having opening closing remarks. Maybe you have not followed the instruction on the PPT. So what I'll do is I'll be sharing a folder over there where you can see who is giving the opening remark for which topic and who is giving the closing remark for the other topic. So what you need to do is in the opening remarks, you are supposed to give a little introduction of the topic. Then I will teach the topic, and one person from the class will give the closing remarks, or he or she will summarize what we have been doing or what we did in that particular lecture. That is what you are supposed to do. Please check it by this Saturday. I'll be uploading most probably by the afternoon. I would do it. Right, the people who have yet not shared, please share your email. I've mentioned the name. One I've already got. Enrollment number 1, 5 and 19 are still remaining. Right, so you will be able to do your work in that shared folder. That's the reason I'm asking for your institute email ID. Now I'll take the attendance for the day. So 18 series, enrollment number 14.
Yes, ma'am.
19 series, enrollment number 1. Enrollment number 2. 3.
Yes, ma'am.
4.
Yes, ma'am.
5. Enrollment number 5. Absent. 6.
Present.
7.
Yes, ma'am.
8.
Yes, ma'am.
9.
Yes, ma'am.
10.
Present, ma'am.
11. 12,
Yes, ma'am.
13, 14, 15,
Yes, ma'am.
16,
Present.
17,
Yes, ma'am.
18,
Yes, ma'am.
19, 21,
Yes, ma'am.
22,
Yes, ma'am.
23.
Yes, ma'am.